I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
There are others. Yeah. There's another friends. Actually, so two of the three next door neighbors of good friends of ours. And they work with us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I enjoy watching they won that competition. We so that's wrong.
I have 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the October 1st, 2024 Village Board meeting to order. Trustee Bonnie, will you please say the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Tracy, roll call.
President Cohen?
Here.
Trustee Michaels?
Here.
Trustee White?
Here.
Trustee Lundy.
Here.
Trustee Heron?
Here.
Trustee Bonnie?
Here.
Trustee Jones?
Here.
Wonderful, we have a forum this evening. Nothing under public hearing. Under appointments and presentation, we have a concept plan from Lennar for a new residential development at Route 56 in Galena. Danny, can you lead us off on this?
The village has been contacted by Lennar regarding a proposed subdivision located at the northwest corner of Galena and Route 56. This property was annexed into the village as the Timber Crest subdivision, which included a residential component and approximately 12 acres of commercial. The prior developer elected not to move forward with that project, and the property has sat dormant for 18 years. There is an existing annexation agreement on the property that will expire in March of 2026, at which time the property would no longer be subject to the annexation agreement and can be developed under the current R2 zoning. Lennar is in the preliminary stages of the project and are here tonight to present to you a concept plan for the property. The site plan includes a variety of housing options, including single-family homes and townhomes that they feel appeal to a wide range of buyers. including young professionals, families, and active adult buyers wanting to either move to Sugar Grove or stay in Sugar Grove in a home that fits their current needs. The site plan also includes over 50% of open space, exceeding the village's 40% requirement. The plan also provides for substantial preservation of the woodland areas on the north and east side of the property and park and path connections consistent with the village's goals. Lennar's proposal is consistent with the village's comprehensive plan, and the roadway network aligns with the village's transportation plan as well as the existing stub roadway to the west. Lennar is here and they are requesting feedback from the village board on land uses, lot sizes, setbacks, park sites, trail connections, open space areas, and elevations provided in your packets. Based on the feedback they received tonight, they will make a decision to move forward with the project. If Lennar is able to move forward, they will file a formal submittal later this fall.
Thank you. Franny.
I thought it was me.
Thank you for controlling me. I don't think I really need a microphone today.
Brandon, it's all yours, thank you.
All right, good evening, President Conan and village trustees. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Brandon Ryan. I'm the land development and entitlement manager for Lennar Homes. And again, happy to be here tonight to present our new concept plans. So Lennar has been building homes since the 50s. We are the nation's largest home builder by revenue. We do operate in 41 markets. We are the largest home builder as well here in Chicago. This year we have projected to have about 1,500 home sales and about 2,000 home sales projected for next year. So I point that out just to acknowledge that Lennar is in a growth mode, and we do expect to continue that growth next year as well. Currently, we're selling in 35 communities here in Illinois, as well as Northwest Indiana and Wisconsin. Really want to highlight our last bullet point here. We do have an in-house mortgage and title company, which does help us simplify the process for our potential home buyers. And really that does separate us from some of the other home builders that are either in the market here or nationally. Just a little bit about the property history, location history. Obviously to the right, you see the aerial. This is 141 acres, also known as the Dolan properties is how we refer to it. The current landowners purchased this property back in the 70s with the intent to develop it, but with the IED construction that changed some of the traffic pattern, and I think their thoughts on what they might have built or propose. So ultimately, this property was annexed to the village in 2006 as the Timber Crest subdivision by Pulte Homes. There was obviously a residential and a commercial component to that proposed plan, and we're here obviously proposing a new concept plan for this site. Pulte Homes did subsequently cancel the contract, leaving the property with this existing PUD for approximately 18 years now. So Lennar is currently under contract to purchase the property with the intent to develop and build a proposed concept plan that we will walk you through here in a minute. Just a little bit about the current zoning. We already mentioned that there's an existing PUD with a commercial and a residential component. You see that kind of outlined in the blue outline there. Some surrounding zoning to the north is residential single-family homes. To the south is unincorporated King County. To the east is more kind of business park commercial. And then obviously to the west is an existing PUD community, Windsor Point, known as Windsor Point. With that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Tim Kellogg, who I work closely with at Lennar, to kind of walk through the concept plan as well as some other exhibits that really highlight the plan we're proposing here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. My name is Tim Kellogg. I'm with Pimpleton Property Consultants. I do a lot of work with Lennar, going through the feasibility due diligence and approvals on communities. I'm really excited to be here tonight. Actually started over a year ago in reconnecting with Michael Casa. We were talking through things, and this property specifically was brought up as far as one that would be a great opportunity to look at for a community and to come in and see about getting a new development going in town here. So it's been over a year, but really excited to now be here. A little bit as I'll be going through this, some numbers, details. Hopefully it doesn't put anyone to sleep too much here. But 141 acres is the community size. Of that, 73 acres is open space. A really neat feel for this is that it progresses in density reducing in density when you move from the east to the west. So along Route 56 is where the 153 traditional townhomes, that means right, 2-story townhomes with a garage in front, more looking like a larger house. And from there, then it progresses on to the west with 95 of the Horizon homes. These are on 56-foot wide home sites with 7-foot side yards. And then keeping on going with lowering the density yet more is the larger medallion homes on 84 lots. Those are 66-foot wide and 7-foot side, and that allows for the optional 3-car garage on the homes within the medallions. Another nice thing is it really has a feel of a cluster development. You can see the open space and stormwater is both on the east side and the northwest. And then also, you'll see also there's a little box there, which is a Fox Metro existing station facility. And then one thing that is kind of fun to be able to provide is down in that southeast corner is a spot to be able to put a future Welcome to Sugar Grove sign there for the community. Is that would, my understanding, being your gateway coming from the east and from 56. So getting back to the open space again, as I mentioned, 73 out of the 141 are open space. That's over 50%. Your ordinance calls for 40, which some may feel is high, but we're really happy to be able to say that we have 25% beyond that even, and getting at 50. The blue area, which is up at the top, it's a little hard to see in this presentation, but it's the north area or the east is an area of existing areas to be preserved. And then as far as kind of working around, I mentioned the stormwater management facilities are on the east and the west side. In the middle there, you'll see kind of a crescent shape. That's a really neat feature we feel, which is a buffer area between the townhomes and the single family to allow a transition, and also just be able to have a little bit of a privacy buffer between the two communities as the backs join there in two different types of home product. Up to the northwest corner there is where our park site is. We really are excited about that because it gives views up to the northwest and also provides for connectivity. And we can hear quite a bit about connectivity coming up now, which both within roads, but also within the community for pedestrian and bicycle use. So we highlight all the sidewalks there. I think it's over 2,500 feet of sidewalk, but also then a multi-use path that would go around the stormwater management facility there in the northwest, tie into the park, and then connect up to the existing gravel road or trail that goes along the north property line. Neat thing about that is that connects over to something that I know is a pride of the community right now, which is the Bellevue Park with the new spur for going across Blackberry Creek with the bridge to connect into Virtual Gilman. I can say that when I was much younger, even I bring a bicycle out, park it at West Community College, and bicycle all the way across over to get down to the Fox River. That's about 11 miles. And then the Fox River one I know is 40 or 50 miles at least. So it's an incredible asset that you have in the community, and it's really exciting to hear that that's coming to fruition. Here's a little bit of a detail for the park site, pavilion, playground area, a little bit of an overlook. I have had an initial conversation with Scott Mayhew with the Park District. He's very excited to talk and is looking forward to going through additional planning as we move forward here, as far as the parks, the paths, and he explained to me an understanding that there's multiple different owners and entities that we will work with on it. I think he brought up, and also someone from the planning commission brought up the fact that even your bridge, I think, had 4 different entities involved: the township, the Forest Preserve District, the Park District, and your village. So it really is nice to see all these different groups working together. Here's a little bit of an exhibit here. It's hard to actually kind of envision how much depth there from the townhome area, 105 feet, and then it's 165 from the back of the townhomes to the edge of Galena Boulevard. Right now, as far as further to the west of Windsor Point, That is about 60 feet. So our single family is mimicking kind of what's going on in Windsor Point right now. So these townhomes is much, much more than that as far as that goes. We have extensive buffering, landscaping, a berm probably like 3 to 5 feet high or so. The engineers are kind of approximating. So that would be in that area to really give a buffer and landscaping. And I drove down Galena again a few days ago, and landscaping along Windsor Point, you really have to struggle to even look to see the back of one of those homes there. So really excited that that single family will be like that, and the townhomes will even be a deeper setback. Another little focus on landscaping and buffering. We didn't want to point out the furthest point from the ramp to the townhomes. We wanted to point out the closest one, and that is almost 300, about 289 feet from the edge of the right-of-way for IDOT over to the back of the townhome. And from the edge of pavement for the ramp is about, I think it's about 330 feet. So that's a long ways, and that's the closest pinch point that we have. The rest of it will be further away. And we would have, again, extensive landscaping in that area, try to get a little bit of berm in there too. And that way, what that really does is it create a buffer between both people looking in, but also our residents as far as the townhomes, and then being able to enjoy their backyards and have a visual screening there also for that. Progressing over to jumping from the east side to the west side. This is along the property line between Windsor Point and the proposed community. Very cognizant of the existing Windsor Point community, and that really is why look to have a transition in reducing zoning, going from the townhomes to the larger medallion home sites along that west property line of the Dolan property. Also, to minimize the impact, we're proposing only 7 lots that would run up to that property line against Windsor Point, which has 9 homes there. So we know that we're going to fit into previously planned and developed community in Windsor Point. So understand the need to connect Hampton Road into our community, and then also have the one access onto Galena. And one thing to point out is that Galena is an IDOT right of way. So we will be working with IDOT on that. We show left and right turn lanes that mimic what is on Regency Boulevard and St. James Parkway to the west, so a continuation of the thought in the area. I think this is the last slide, and then you get to see some homes. This is just a comparison, just to kind of show how we fit in there. Windsor Point, 150 acres, 345 homes for about 2.3 homes per acre. We're right there, 141 on 332 for a little over 2.3, about 2.35. And just to have the visuals there as far as how that is. And with that, I will turn it back over to Brandon.
Thank you, Tim. As Tim said, we're gonna look at some homes now. So what you're looking at here is Lennar's Medallion series, Medallion Home. So we have a variety of elevations, also a variety of square footages. So what you're looking at really is from the Adams to Sequoia. So that's really our kind of our small Adams there on the left is really our smallest home in that series. And then obviously we just pick the middle point, the Bryce, and then Sequoia would be our largest home in the series. So it really ranges from about 2,200 square feet to about 3,200 square feet is the range among the series here. You're also seeing variations in our elevations. These are 3 variations. So, from top to bottom among that particular home style. So, for example, on the top left, you'll see the Adams. That's our ranch. You see a 3-car garage, and this will be typically that's kind of an all. You see a little bit of variation of stone, some horizontal siding, some other architectural elements, and then as you move down, from top to bottom, really what you're seeing is we're introducing more architectural elements as well in kind of the middle row there. Then at the bottom row, really you're seeing more brick on that front elevation, or really the most brick you can see on our elevation kind of on the bottom row. So what we're really trying to show here and communicate is these are the elevations. This is the product that Lennar will build or typically builds, and we believe this fits well in the market here. Just a reminder, these were, as Tim mentioned earlier, these are really the homes in the pods kind of on the west of the site plan. So there's 84 homes that we're proposing of this from this series. And really here too, Tim mentioned this earlier, we're really excited to present different product types here. And that's because we really want to drive different buyer segments and a different buyer profile to be in the community. And so for here, for example, with our Medallion series, we typically view this as a kind of a established family buyer, maybe older kids, high school kids potentially, or even just a kind of a second move up buyer as well as kind of it is who we envision would be a good target for the homes here. And we have a kind of starting price here at 505 and up depending on elevation variation and also size as well. They're also all basements. We do believe that's definitely market driven, but we have found a lot of success with offering really all basements among the different plans throughout the Chicago land communities that we have. This really just puts the data on a table for us here. I think as I mentioned, we do have 6 plans in this series. I just showed 3 earlier just so we didn't cloud the slide with a bunch of different elevations. But again, ranging from 2,200 square feet, that's our ranch, all the way up to about 3,200 square feet. So these are typically 3-4 bedroom, 2.5 bath typical, and we do start them at a 2-car garage. I think all the other plans are available in a 3-car garage, which will obviously be a buyer driven at that point. So just want to make note of that. And then we're moving on to that. If you remember in the concept plan, the middle pod or the middle section of their site plan here. This is called our Horizon series, Horizon homes. These are smaller homes, so they are on the smaller home sites and they are in the middle of that site plan. A similar concept here, we're showing kind of from smallest to large within that series, as well as from top to bottom, you'll see the different variations in the elevations. The top left there will be our ranch for this series. You'll see mainly horizontal siding, and then as you kind of go again from top to bottom, we introduce some more brick and a little bit more of some architectural elements. Again, we don't restrict the variations in the community. It will be buyer driven, market driven. We do build some ahead of time. We do believe that the buyer wants to feel and touch and see, so we would build those some ahead of time. But then as we go, we will see what the buyers are typically looking to see. Maybe it's a little more stones or whatnot on the elevation that they end up picking. So, and again, here the buyer profile. Really, we see this as kind of a young family, maybe even first-time home buyer, probably maybe sizing up from a townhome, for example. So that's the buyer profile there. Again, data table. There's 5 plans among this series. Again, 3 different variations of elevations. You'll see about 1,500 square feet for the ranch, all the way up to 2,600 for the largest home in the series. Still 3 or 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath. Just again a little smaller total square footage than our Medallion series you saw a little bit earlier. These are actual home interiors of the actual homes that Lennar does build and will build here. I like to show these because we do believe the values inside the home because we do include, so we have what we call our designer finishes are really standard. And again, that's something that I believe really does separate Lennar from other home builders. So it's not a situation where you go through a list and you're picking all these upgrades. For example, we have 42-inch cabinets throughout, all quartz countertops, vinyl plank floors. That is actually in your home. These are not upgrades. These are not selections you have to make. So again, we really feel like the values in the interior and really separates us from other home builders. These are the traditional townhomes, so this would be all the way on the east side of the site plan you saw earlier. These are actual photos from an existing community up in South Elgin. So it's a community, obviously we can talk more about that later, that you're more than welcome to visit as well. But these are, again, this is very representative of what we would propose here. As Tim mentioned, you see front-facing townhomes, 2-car garage. I think the top photo does do a good job. It will be able to fit 2 cars in that driveway. We typically view that as being sufficient parking, and we've found success with that parking. On the bottom left there, what you're really looking at is it's our end unit. We call that the Darcy unit. That's really just to show how we deal with kind of end unit. You have a side entrance. You'll see a little more architectural element. And I think we'll probably get back to this later, but if you remember on your site plan, obviously coming in to Sugar Grove, kind of the gateway here, you will see some of those sides in the rear of the townhome. So we really wanted to highlight the side, and also you see the rear of our townhomes here. So that's a lot of the visual that what it would look like as you're driving in off of Galena Boulevard there. And so you see quite a bit of landscaping here. I would propose that our townhomes will be set back much further even than that photo there. But this was just hopefully to provide perspective of the rear elevation and also the landscaping. And again, for buyer segment here, we're also, again, as I mentioned, we're looking at different buyer segments. We believe it's great for the community to provide the different opportunities. And so obviously here, this would be your traditional first time home buyer, probably all together. We also see a lot of empty nesters we like to target with a traditional townhome. Someone looking maybe more for that maintenance free, also wanting to stay in the community, and then downsize a little bit. Maybe they don't need as much home anymore as kids that moved on to college or otherwise. So, I think I mentioned this earlier. These are the actual photos from a community called Park Point in South Elgin. Just same as we walked through before, just the data up here on a table, kind of ranging from about 1,700 to 1,800 square feet. All two-car garage with, again, enough room to park 2 cars as well in the driveway. Some interiors here, again, same finishes as I mentioned with the townhome, with the single-family homes. But I really wanted to highlight here just the size of the rooms. You see a pretty, I would say the bottom right, you see a pretty sizable bathroom. The top left, that's kind of your master bedroom. And I feel like these are actual photos of our townhomes, very representative of the feel and the size that these townhomes would have. With that, thank you, Village President Conan, trustees, thank you for having us here tonight. Lenar's very excited to be here. As we said, we do believe we provide multiple products that will really drive multiple buyers into the community, and we believe we're providing great transition among the product type as well. We're serving a bunch of existing open space, adding to some open space. So thank you for your time. We do have our full team here to answer any of your questions, and so we might bounce around a little bit. But again, thank you. We're happy to be here.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I just want to remind the board there's a concept plan. They can take this to the planning commission. If they get a positive review from us, they'll come forward with amendments to the annexation agreement. But that really is an old document that they have to kind of revisit in general. So things that are relative to the annexation agreement aren't really privy to this discussion this evening. It's really this concept. Okay. So I don't know who wants to lead off with any questions.
I had a couple quick questions. As far as how many units are in the townhome building? 4?
That can vary generally between 4 to 6, and that's something that ends up even getting a little refined sometimes in final engineering. Less times around the curves, it ends up being a smaller building, and then the straightaways a little bit, but it's a very variable.
Okay. And when you did your numbers of 332, that was the full unit of the townhome, not like the number of household units. It was like you counted one townhome as one.
It would be a home for a family. So if it's 153 townhomes, there aren't 153 buildings, there are 153 units. Units that people can purchase.
Okay, I don't know, I think there's like 425 homes in Windsor Point. But I was just trying to figure out the math, if you were counting just the townhomes, which actually I think then would make it a little bit more higher density with Windsor Point, I'm not sure. So, yeah. No, I was just trying to understand the numbers, compare apples to apples. So the total number of homes, I don't know if that's the homes or because I think households, there's 425 households in Windsor Point.
I think they have it here on the bottom under the site data, they have 84 out of 66 wide, 95 on the single family, 56 wide, and 153 townhomes.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to figure out when they were doing this, I didn't know if they were counting townhomes as one townhome is one in the Windsor Point. That's-
I think we.
For the density calculation.
Yeah,
We could be off on that, but the yellow circle is what we're trying to do. I believe there's another piece over which may be a Windsor West, whatever, I wasn't quite sure. So we're trying to be accurate as far as what we thought was.
no, yeah, I was just trying to figure out if you were counting this way and if you're counting that.
We're trying to count living units.
Living units, okay, alright,
So Windsor is definitely denser.
yeah, Windsor Point is denser, yeah, sorry,
Thank you.
Asian lady president of Windsor Point, so, are the townhomes going to have any basements? Because you were talking about.
Oh, no, sorry, the towns are built on slab.
That's what I thought, okay, I was just checking, and you know what the first floor ceiling height, are they gonna be 8 foot or 9 foot? I asked only because I believe the standard in Windsor Point was 9 foot.
I believe we're typically 8 foot, I mean, we'll look at that. If it has to match for whatever reason, we can look at that.
Not necessarily, I was just curious.
Yeah.
I actually think the homes do fit very well. And I actually am excited about this, and I live in Windsor Point, so that's, so I'm very excited, I'm just trying to get some of the information.
Sure.
It's clear the interior images that you guys shown were all 9 foot. I could tell, you said those were
Over the window?
42.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, conservative, yeah.
Thank you.
That's right.
To be clear.
Thank you.
Heidi, did you have any additional questions at this time?
No, I think that's it, I like what's going on, and the little bit of chatter I've seen on, in my neighborhood is, I'm kind of excited, so.
Good. Thank you. Any other comments anyone want to go?
I think one of the things that's really important in Windsor is there's some really nice berming and landscaping that's happening along Galena. And I think for visual continuity, I appreciate the considerable landscaping on it, but for visual continuity between the two neighborhoods, I think it would be in the best interest to maintain that same berming there as well.
And I think they've done that. They've actually.
It wasn't called out specifically. I think the verbiage that you said was we might berm or maybe some berming. What I'm suggesting is to
They just be the same.
with whatever's there.
And you're referring to Galena Boulevard all the way down?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Yeah, well, it has to make sense with the on-ramp.
Yeah.
But
What's the topographic difference between ramp and where those towns are? That would be a number that I do not know, it's lower. It does, any rough ideas for topography between right out of town? I know it drops down lower.
It's about 20 foot drops.
So where are you proposing the berms, the same elevation as the ramp, or?
Well, the berms go along the side of the ramp and then, because the landscaping is along the ramp, and where he's talking about the townhomes is over across the smaller man's facility over further.
Right, my thought is that having the berm 20 feet lower doesn't do good. That's why I was asking.
Oh, yeah, the berming, the landscaping would be along the edge of the where it's shown.
Basically, the elevation of where the ramp is.
Yeah, it's where the ramp is, you can see that darker green swath around, and then it becomes stormwater, and then the townhome. So you're correct, it would be closer to the existing pavement and the right away.
Any other
Do you think IDOT will require widening of Galena Boulevard, like they did for Windsor Point?
We can anticipate, and we showed what was replicated for what was done before for Windsor Point, which is a right turn in and a left turn in with some pavement widening for the turn lanes. But that, and Schaumburg dictates a lot of that, or a District 1 for that.
Do you think they would add lanes to the north then on your side of Galena Boulevard, or do they widen both sides?
That's hypothetical
Okay.
at this point.
It doesn't look like they have the right of them. DA, how do you usually account for wetland area and floodway? We're giving a lot of credit for open space, but there is a lot of floodway and wetland area. Is it?
How do we usually account for it?
Yeah.
It depends, sometimes there is annexation agreements, how we account for it, but I have to look up to see exactly what our code requires.
I was looking at it as a, listen, they said as long as there's, the detention is improved with trails, the detention. Oh, yes. Detention. So that's something I was gonna bring up, is possibly once more trails around the detention areas, so they can qualify for the PUD ordinance. But I think it would be neat, additional trails in the wooded area, the wetlands, floodway, if you can. It'd be nice to extend the path by the Fox Metro Station and have it head north so that you could access the gravel path there, pretty much dead center. And then people could walk that gravel path down to the west and then come back and loop around. No,
No, it's
stay south.
I thought that was in your plan.
Okay,
That's the existing gravel path.
But there's no connection from the roadway, from the Fox Metro Station to the gravel.
Oh, there is a little, it's not, there actually is a little road.
There is.
Just loop the path.
To answer your question, Sean, too, we do count, our code does count wetlands, floodplains, and storm water retention and detention ponds.
I'm sorry.
Our code does count wetlands, floodplains, and stormwater detention and.
Even though it's not buildable.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be improved at all.
Provided they're approved with trails and landscaping.
So the northeast area where it says existing woodlands that has no improvements in it, would that be counted or not counted since there's?
I think it would be counted because it would be considered environmental corridor possibly. And that does not have to be improved, but it is counted towards scope.
And then there's a 10 on one of the lots there, a single family 55. It would be nice to have a second park, maybe in that area, if feasible, in that general area, just to have some access to the townhomes and break it up since there's one to the northwest.
I don't think they want to put it, townhome areas. I kind of agree with that. I don't know if they're using that crescent shape as you mentioned, as the buffer.
Yeah, I don't want to lose a townhome, and I thought, in that crescent shape, people from both single family could walk there and from the townhomes.
For that crescent area, there is significant topography, so it is a transitional grading area to sort of, it's not going to be considered kind of recreational area.
And just generally in that location, in between the townhomes and single family.
What I was going to, because I've heard this from some residents as well, is that it's nice when you have a neighborhood, let's say that the townhomes are your first time home buyer, and then they tend to have small children before they grow out of that townhome, is that if you did have those two parts, if you had one that would cater more toward the townhome for the young children.
top lot, if
If
you
you
will.
top lot and then the north part that's under an acre, have more of that equipment on it. I think that would work well with the big kids being out in one park and the little kids maybe in another park.
I kind of see that, what I was presuming was really 19 in the towns. That would make some part of that. South.
South.
Yeah, town.
That's certainly a possibility.
Down south.
Also next to building 7, possibly building 7 will be cut down into more of a 4-unit building, and then that would tuck it nicely in there. I think that's
Moving
how-
around.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That one would be a 4-unit, and then the space in between those would be a nice little corner for potentially a small top lot or something like that. Which would be nice overlooking the little pond there.
In that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime we can get it around the corner, it's not gonna feel like it's smashed in between 2 of the townhomes. We could do some nice landscape buffering on both sides.
Great.
And then, it'd be nice to have some restrictions as to the basic, elevations and progress up to the nicer elevations. So I don't know if it's a third, but, you have to move down a third of the basics and then third mid-range and third higher end. Would be nice to break up the monotony.
Trustee Michaels, you talking about a third within Horizon, so for each section?
Yeah.
And the same thing with the medallion series?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with that, at least where. Right, and where to make that, but.
Well, it's consistent with what we're expecting other developers to do within the community too.
That's why I think we need to.
Exactly. I had no doubt the same thing there, trustee Michaels. And I don't know if we're getting into minutia at this point or not.
Well, we're talking, the elevations are in front of you, so
Okay.
I think the minutia is the annexation agreement. I think bringing up that second park location was a great idea. And so now just your feedback on whether that is something that you would be able to consider is just to ensure that within your 56-foot frontage, that you're not all doing the front, the top.
Right, so Lennar has its own, anti-monotony requirements or rules, that may be more potentially than the village anti-monotony code. It's something we'll know and we'll look at, but I will say we typically avoid restricting it to a certain number because it's buyer driven, right? We don't know if more buyers may prefer a little more, brick, for example, instead of stone or vice versa. So we typically don't restrict it to a number, but we do have anti-monotony where you're not going to have all the same, horizontal siding homes all next to each other on the same road, for example. We would make sure there's variation among the colors and really our elevations. It's just not adhering to specific percentages is typically what we see.
Could you present that when you present it to the planning commission? Your anti-monotony?
Yeah, they'll want to know that.
Yeah, we'll have more of that detail. For planning commission, the concept here, we just present general verbiage.
And then can you, we did give it on the medallion, you said you have a 505 start, I assume that's on the top line?
It is.
Same start, okay. So on your Horizon homes, for your top line, can you give us a starting?
I do, I wrote it down, just like, I'm not sure if I remember off the top of my head, give me a second.
And then the same thing with your
Sure.
townhomes.
So, the starting for Horizon is $445. Again, these are assumed, asking prices if they were available today. And then our townhomes $370 is our starting asking price.
Thank you.
One final comment, sort of going this, I don't know if we look for right of way or easements to possibly put in another creek crossing and north of the Fox Metro. Again, to provide a secondary access to the Virgil Gilman Trail. And I don't know if somebody can do estimates to do that. Hope it's cheaper than $1 million, since we don't have wetlands that we're going through and things like that. But just maybe for the future, have a second access. When you exercise or out for a walk, it's nice to make this circle. And if you could cross here and then to the west and look at the point, it'd be nice to bring it up.
I like to see it.
Exactly. If you don't plan to.
I have a quick,
Follow up to what you mentioned there. There is potential, now, from a land planning standpoint, we really stayed out of the floodway area. I mean, we really couldn't get into the floodplain at all from a building standpoint. Same from building a path or extending a path. But the Virgil Gilman Trail does actually come right at the top corner of the property here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just-
it's on the other side of the
Yeah,
creek.
they're just saying maybe reserve a corridor if there's something in the future.
Yeah.
I can remember driving my bicycle through that culvert underneath 56 before that bridge. Where you got one little piece of concrete platform, and then right next to you dropped off, so.
I don't think that's probably a big deal to just reserve that area. Potentially within,
Well,
for future, if we're not obligating you to it, we're just reserving an area in case they ever wanted to create another crossing there.
We will absolutely look into it.
Okay.
I had one question on the townhomes, rear elevation. I was concerned there's not a lot of, it looks like it's all in one plane. And, I'm a little concerned because that's the back that you'll be coming around 56, and you'll be seeing these, and these are gonna be up high.
These are actually down low.
Oh, they're gonna be down, okay, but it's, I like to see a little bit more depth and it broken up a little bit, and not just with a little piece of trim, but especially if you get 6 units in there, then it starts getting kind of,
So you're suggesting either something that might come out to
Yeah,
extend the
just, you
living
know,
room,
yeah,
6 or 8 inches, or the overhang from the second floor to the first may
Yeah,
extend
just
out.
that, so it's not one plank for 2 stories or 6 units across.
Yeah, typically we avoid that. I mean, when you're introducing, different, plumb outs and things like that, it's harder, architecture and engineering, more costly. I mean, this is our traditional elevation. We found a lot of success here. I mean, we can introduce, potentially, we can look at, take note of, you see those gables up there, maybe it's a little bit of different material, maybe it's a shake, for example, as opposed to carrying the horizontal siding all the way across all the different elements. And that's also to break up the plane. That's why we also kind of introduce that end unit with that entrance, and you do see a little bit of a bump out there. That's kind of how we're responding to not having that kind of one single plane.
I think we'd also be looking for overhangs on the gable lines, or for overhang on.
I believe there are.
Yeah, I believe there are like little RBC. Typically, we have.
That's because the sun is coming.
Yeah, we do have that.
I do,
That'll
yeah,
work.
so.
And then one of the other things that we just did, is we didn't allow 100% horizontal site. So we wanted to have some texture change, so to speak. So we consider that too, for the elevations.
Yes, we'll take note. We'll consider that. Thank you.
I think it's easy to do on your front elevation, to be honest, to just, even if you did shake in an area or gap in a small area. I think your back elevation is going to be challenging, your rear elevation, because it is one plane.
And how would that affect the price point for a first-time home buyer? Right, that's
something. I mean, different materials, obviously, there would be an adjustment to asking price, as you can imagine. I mean, off the top of my head, I wouldn't know,
I guess,
Yeah.
kind of for us, not for you.
Right.
I think that's.
I mean, that's what that is what it would lead to, right? There would be different asking prices introduced as it is passed off.
Well, I like the look of it. I think that changes, it starts to change who you're selling to. But yes, the point does look better. I 100% agree with that, but.
I think that the important part too is, if, you know, this is what you know, and obviously everybody here has their preference with architectural details. The softening with landscaping is gonna be the key to the entire development. Making sure that your, Hampton Road and the parkway trees that are consistent within Windsor Point are consistent in this, and I know a lot of that is driven by our code in general, but the berming around, the landscaping around, it really softens. So not only creating that buffering that you're talking about at the ramp, but then creating that backyard buffering for those townhomes as well. So you can have 2 layers of landscaping. One, the visual barrier at the ramp, and then the second one up against and creating privacy for the backyards of those units. And as that landscape grows, you likely won't see that rear elevation like that.
Yeah, I mean, just to.
That's less than a year old.
I was gonna say, that community's less than a year old, so, it still needs to grow a little bit, but that's,
Yeah, but it looks nice.
it looks fairly filled in even after less than a year, so.
Our buffering along the Galena and along the ramp would be much heavier than that. We predominantly evergreen, a mix of some ornamental, but then always a shade tree kind of behind everything. As more, so you're getting 2 levels.
Can I ask a question regarding, when you come back, it sounds like I'm hearing a lot of positive about the development. There's some, things that the board has asked that you incorporate in it, but color schemes, when you come forward, will you put a color scheme in front of the planning commission report as well with your?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I had one more question. For the single family homes, will you be providing a landscaping package that has some trees in it or something?
Yes, there would be, you can see there's some parkway trees there, and the homeowner though
Yeah.
is obviously responsible for their own
So you're not,
landscaping.
providing any landscaping, like, I know in Windsor
I
Point.
know,
Yeah, you had this landscaping package or this one or this
Yeah,
one.
there's one. Yeah, we typically have just a typical lot landscaping package. We look at your code and see if you have any specific around the foundation. Typically, we're adding an ornamental tree up by the corner of the house, some evergreen shrubs, some flowering shrubs, another flowering shrub on the other corner of the house, and then a tree in the parkway.
All right, that's what I was trying to figure out, is what your landscaping package normally would be.
Yes.
It's not just, here you go, you get grass.
Oh, no.
No.
And then obviously you can do other
No,
things.
it's a full lot landscaping package will be provided.
Yeah.
We can do what I did, pull it all out, pay someone to plant a bunch of new stuff that died 2 years later.
That's why I was just saying, Brandon, I was last time they ended up ripping it all out, so it's money, Can you go to the site plan?
So with that said, I mean, being the plant guy, I will have to say we've refined a lot of our plant palette, so to speak. We use a lot of native plants. We use plants that are predominantly hardy to this region, plants that were propagated by Warren Arboretum. So our palette is becoming more and more refined and not just for what's pretty, but what is actually going to survive.
So looking at this, and I'm seeing in that northeast corner, that's where the Virgil Gilman Trail is. Do you investigate whether you can put a trail through from the lift station to where that Gilman Trail is on the south side of it?
That dashed line there with that stippled stuff is a wetland and floodway. So
Everything east of that's wetland?
yeah, so you see that dashed stippled line. So we actually looked at that early on just out of curiosity, and it was a quick hard no from our engineer.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Doherty or Trustee Schwartz, any other thoughts?
It's great. It looks good. I know people that are looking for this type of home, and it's not available here. So I'm excited. It's a great, that's a good job. Thank you.
I think our questions are suggesting that, as your second question, Tony, that we're all very interested. I'm very interested, certainly, in seeing another development like this coming, community. So, bring it to this.
And to make sure it matches
what's in Windsor Point, it doesn't look like something different. Correct, so it looks like you've done a good job with that.
I appreciate that.
Good, and it looks like you're getting some positive feedback from residents as well, so. And I can say I can appreciate the fact that, you know, there are several homes there, about 7, like you said. Some of those backyards within Windsor Point are larger, so the effect of a side yard or backyard neighbor maybe isn't as impactful. And then the one that you have on the north side of the road on Hampton is buffered with landscaping, so they're not impacted, quite frankly. All those homes on the road that is, and you probably know, they have now a beautiful detention area.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's kind of an added bonus for those lots that are there.
You're gonna like it.
Yeah, is that, just a quick question, is that going to be in that, northwest corner, is there gonna be prairie in there? I ask because it's, I believe we have prairie around our ponds.
Yes.
We do prairie burn, and I'm just thinking, you know,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean.
I'm just wondering how that will work. My husband.
We're gonna be mowing for the next 3 years, not burning, so.
Okay.
Well, you're gonna have native plantings around that detention.
Yeah, all of our detention basins are nativized. You know, predominantly you see native plants and then more of a channel that goes through the middle of the space and then a little bit bigger open space. But we'll have a mixture of low profile prairie and then other wet meadow and then emergent.
Well, it sounds like we have a positive review from the village board, so thank you for the presentation, we appreciate your time and making an investment in our village. So we look forward to you going back to the planning commission, and we'll see you back here at a later date.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Up next, we have airport report, Tony.
No report.
Thank you, Tony. Public comments on items scheduled for action this evening under consent agenda. We have A, approval of the minutes of the August 20th, 2024 board meeting. B, approval of the vouchers. C, approval of the treasurer's report. D, a resolution transfer of funds for fiscal year 2024. E, a resolution closed session minutes review. Item F, a resolution approving PSA with EEI for River Road and paving phase 1 engineering. Item G, a resolution ratification purchase of 2 replacement police vehicle Chevy Tahoes. Under general business, we have A, a resolution appropriating funds for industrial tip number 1. Item B, an ordinance termination of industrial tip number 1. Item C, a resolution approving an IGA with IDOT from the Illinois 47 from Cross Street to Jericho Road. That is everything we have on our agenda for public comment this evening. Do I have anyone that would like to make a public comment? Going once, going twice, 3 times, we'll close that. Up next, consent agenda. Do I have any requests to remove an item? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as previously stated?
As stated.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
First out, trustee Showman, second out, trustee Aaron. Roll call, please, Tracy. Trustee Thomas?
Aye.
Trustee Aaron?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee White?
I,
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Martin? Thank you, motion passes. Up next, general business, resolution, appropriating funds for industrial supply.
Okay, so at the last board meeting, we had a discussion regarding TIP 1 and terminating it early as of December 31st, 2024. And we had discussed that there were the West Wheeler Road project, which is just approved, and then there were 2 commercial projects along US 30. So we were looking to appropriate the funds from the current fund balance that is collected in this fiscal year. And then once that is done, we would be terminating effective 12/31 of 24, TIF 1. With that, we would collect taxes in 25 because we are in arrears for King County, for pretty much Illinois, as far as we're collecting for tax year 24 and 25. However, those funds are not what we're appropriating funds for, so those would be surplus and brought back to the board as we receive them for surplusing of those TIF funds back to the taxing issues. Once we receive that, we will no longer collect any funds. We will have the fund open until those projects are completed as far as financial funds, but no taxes will be collected moving forward after collection in 25 or tax year 24. So the first resolution is appropriating those funds in the amount of $1.275 million, $275 million for West Rio Road and $1 million for the other two projects. So that's the first resolution that is in front of you. I can answer any questions on those.
Do we have cushion built into that number?
We do. So this is the fund that we have available at the 12/31/24 for all collections. And based on our projections for the road project and the two commercial, that there is funds available with a cushion.
Any additional questions? Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve, item A, the resolution as previously stated?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
The first on trustee White, the second on trustee Bonnie. Roll call, please, Tracy. Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Aaron?
Aye.
Trustee Thomas?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries. Up next, the ordinance termination of the industrial tip district. Number one.
Yeah, so the second, now this is actually ordinance terminating TIF fund, effective 12/31/24. And I can answer questions if there's more on the actual termination.
My only question is obviously the, next year's property taxes we will collect. Does the board have to take action to surplus those dollars?
We will bring it back to the board like we have done in the past with any surplus funds. We most likely will bring it back after we receive the final collection from the county, so we're not bringing it back as we do once a month. So it'll be probably next fall to winter, right around this time. We usually get a final collection end of October, usually the final collection for the tax year. So we'll probably bring it back end of October, beginning of November next year to surplus all funds collected above and beyond 1.275.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve item B, the ordinance terminating industrial tip district number one?
So, second.
The first on trustee White, second on trustee Aaron. Roll call, please, Tracy. Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Aaron?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Thomas?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Just real quick on that, since it is now terminated, we'll work with Kathy to do the actual formal notice that is required to all taxing districts by November 1st, notifying them that we did terminate it. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Max. Up next, item C, the resolution approving an IGA with IDOT for the Illinois from Cross Street to Jericho.
Good evening, everyone. As you all know, IDOT is proposing to widen US 47/US 30 from Cross Street to Jericho, facilitating free flow of traffic and increased safety with the moderated public. The village will need to relocate our water main located on the west side of Illinois 47 and the sanitary sewer force main at Surf Alley Point on the east side underneath the tracks. So the village has been coordinating for a few years with IDOT regarding this and participating within their project. So we finally got an IGA from them for cost participation. So it's estimated $2.7 million, which
It's
is
actually a
less.
little bit more than that, right?
No, it's less.
This is a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah, it's only, that was like 3 million before. So.
That's fine.
2004?
That's what I heard.
I thought it was a 3.1 is what I recall, roughly.
So just the $1 million was our rough estimate from EEI back when we were told that we were gonna have to relocate before any investigation was done.
Yeah.
So last year was the $3 million number for HR three. That was actually submitted to IDOT when we asked them to include it in their contract.
It should be noted, this is strictly an estimate based on IDOT.
Yes.
You know, they haven't bid the project, so we really don't know the numbers.
So we're still responsible for the development.
Or something like that.
Oh. I think the village has got to look at charging a annexation fee or something like that. Like for this, Lennar just came in, they're tapping into our water service system. They don't have to put in their own, so we should be charging like Fox Metro does, and tap fee or a large annexation fee like Fox Metro does. We should do it with Lennar in the future just so it doesn't get passed down to the residents. Just as a note, our typical fee is what, $3,500 for the tap on, that's a capital for water and sewer that we have, that's the normal fee. It's paid by the home or by, at the time, building permit, correct? And then, so you're proposing something that will be part of an annexation?
Yes.
We'll have Matt investigate that. I mean, there's also something that we spent time lobbying for in Springfield. I know that one of the budgeted items this year is, which obviously staff has not had a ton of time to work on, but is a lobbyist for the village of Grove, and this is definitely where their efforts could be used. So we'll investigate that.
This agreement references an exhibit B. There was no exhibit B attachment to the one. There's a couple of spots in it, so just.
But he has us, this will obviously go before the board, he has to last week.
So we'll just do that, we'll just do it subject to attorney review.
Is there any anticipated construction time frame with the work?
They just keep pushing, right, like you're saying, they're talking like, my guess is as soon as construction will be 26. They still have to get all the franchise utilities out of the way too. I mean, some of them haven't even got their easements approved for their design yet.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we were told there's still land acquisition, so.
yeah. So it's that. Okay.
Thank you, Brett. Can I?
Real quick,
Yeah, I'm
how
sorry.
are we planning for, in the budget right now? I mean, I guess we're allocating every year, every 6 months, we're paying into some sort of fund that will hopefully cover $3 million by the time it's done in 2027 or whenever.
Yeah, so right now, when we're looking at it from capital, when we look at the CIP, that's what we look at for the water, and that was when the last couple of years we've been discussing that shows we're going into a deficit in our water capital fund is because of this project, that's pushes into that. We have Maple Street also scheduled for the same year as this project. Now, that's a discussion that we have to have with Brad and the immediate end for that, but that's also about a $3 million estimated project. We've looked at that, we've talked, which way can we do it if we need to look at fees? Do we look at an EPA low interest loan for one or those of those projects? We do have the IUPA loans that we currently have are falling off. So we really would only have one outstanding bond payment in the water fund. So we have some stuff falling off that if it came down to it, we were gonna look at those options. If we couldn't find any funding options for the state or additional way, is look at low interest loans through IPA for these types of projects. But we do have the funds, again, it's talking which project goes first. This one's obviously forcing our hand. Maple is a project that we're controlling. But that does push us into a negative capital fund balance, just because of the sheer amount. In that year, I think we have about $5.8 million scheduled of water projects between Maple Street and the relocation. So these are discussions that we have during CIP, that were based on waiting for the state to tell us when that's gonna happen, is how fast do we look at IUPA or another source?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve item C, the resolution as previously stated, subject to attorney review.
So.
Thank you, Director.
So.
First item, trustee Karen, second item, trustee Pine. Roll call, please, Tracy. Trustee Karen?
Aye.
Trustee Pine?
Aye.
Trustee Michael?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy.
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries. Up next, we have public comment for any and all items, but additionally this evening, we have for discussion items, we have amending the economic development and economic incentive agreements with Three Brothers and Hapu LLC. Item B, formal objection to King County rezoning of property on Kingston Road. Item B, I'm sorry, item C, update social media policy. Item D, the growth development communication strategy. And then any and all items. So, is there any public comment? Going.
It seems just wrong to
We do have a public comment, this is all ladies.
So,
Start the timer, excuse me.
So, two things. First one is, just with, what I was discussing when they're talking about that existing gravel path. I'm not sure who maintains that. I know that, as, HOA for us, we don't maintain it along, Windsor Point. I always thought it was, something that had to do with citizens utilities. So just something to investigate. But I really wanted to talk a little bit about social media policy. It takes maybe 60 seconds of looking through the comments on just about anything to conclude that this is why we can't have nice things. Because the way that people behave on social media, if I were to address the board the way people on social media do, after about 15 seconds, you'd be banging your gavel. And if I kept going, chief would probably stand up. Yet somehow it's become oppressive to moderate content and conversations online. I don't know why that is. It's baffled me forever. But given that, and you have to turn off the comments. Keep it a closed forum, open forum for addressing the board and the staff is here, or you're all reachable with emails. I don't think we need a 365 by 7 by 24 slugfest on social media. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Please reset the time, Teresa.
You know, attorneys keep them down. Dan Kramer here in behalf of Burnt Barrel North Social. And the owner is the brothers of Papa, which is Jim Rados and his 3 sons. We're asking the board to add.
It's okay, public comment, we're gonna get to you.
Oh, so you don't want to chat now? Okay, just want
You're
to
gonna
check.
chat.
Stand there.
Do you have any public comment?
You probably don't have to. Okay.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna get to you next. We're gonna get to you next. This is just my public comment time.
Be good.
You're good. Thank you, Jim. Just strike him from the record. Okay, up next. Oh, sorry. Any additional public comment?
No. Okay. I will close that portion, thank you. Up next, item A under discussion, amending the economic development and economic incentive agreement with 3 brothers. And let me just pull my report. Matt, thank you.
Okay, so back in January of '23, the village board approved an economic development and economic incentive agreement with 3 brothers and Papu, which is Burnt Barrel. This was for the 1% sales tax regarding the business district only that was created on that property. So the agreement goes into effect with IDOR. If you approve it prior to April 1st and get it to IDOR, it goes into effect July 1st. After that, if you get it in by October 1st, it's January 1st. So this would have been into effect for July 1st. Burnt Barrel opened, I believe the formal start of occupancy was in May of 2023. After that first round of sales tax that we can get the information for, it was noticed that Burnt Barrel was not on that list. So after investigating, the PIN that was in the actual agreement on the tax bill showed 779 Heartland. It's actually 799 Heartland. So in King County GIS, there were 2 different addresses for the same PIN number. Well, Burnt Barrel is filing under 799, but the PIN was 779. So it was not included in the business district because it goes by address. So we investigated this. We talked with Dan regarding this. It got amended, and it was in before October 1st, so it went into effect January 1st of 2024. What they're requesting is that missing time between the July 1st, when it went into effect, and now it's January 1st. Now, they're requesting the 8 months. What the staff recommendation in here, what we're discussing it, is the 6 months that was missing from July 1st that it was supposed to go into effect to January 1st. Now, Dan is requesting 8 months on behalf of Burnt Barrel. So that's what's in front of you here. And I'm done. So everything is correct now with IDOR. We have confirmation that everything is being correctly remitted to the village. We have already supplied them with their first payment of sales taxes for the remains on the rebate. So The discussion in front of the board, would need actually the amendment to both agreements, because they both state a date of certificate of occupancy for the effective date of the 15 years, essentially. So, that's why they're both in front of you for the board to discuss just amending basically the start date of the rebate.
What's the difference in 2 months?
From the 8 months to the 6 months, yes.
Yeah, what's the difference in salary?
That I cannot release because it's regarding sales tax to a specific business. So I cannot release that to the board. But that is, yes, the difference between opening and ending.
Did we get any money in the other property?
Do we get any
Did we get any money in the other property?
of
There was
net? It's net. Because if you actually go into King County and you look at the tax bill for 2022 when they were in construction, it had $779, and then 2023, if you look at the tax bill, it's now $799. So the county switched on their end. So everything's under $799. That's what the business is filing under. That's what King County has it as, and now that's what the Department of Revenue has as well.
And staff's recommendation is to make them whole by our original agreement, which would have made it in effect by July 1. Right. Is what staff's recommendation is.
Mr. Kramer.
Mr. Kramer, do you have something you'd like to add?
Well, the only thing we wanted to add, there was nothing wrong by the village here in the ordinance. And the Rayoses have always gotten their tax bill correctly. It was actually on the assessor's records that they had the wrong address. And we talked to the Illinois Department of Revenue, as Mark did, and I was shocked. They took money for 8 months. They said, our computer system can only be adjusted January 1 or July 1. And I'm not the internet guru, but that shocked me. And they said, we'll send the 1% back to the people that paid it. No, we're keeping it. I said, so you're not gonna give it to the village? You're not gonna give it to the taxpayer? You're just arbitrarily keeping it? I said, yes, sir. So we're simply asking the 8 because that's how much they took and kept. And you'll get all the money as it goes on, but that's the only we're asking for the 8 rather than 6.
But they only took 6, right?
No, they took 8 from the Rayoses, according to them and their account. They adjusted in January and said, okay, now you're on the books, but they didn't give them the 2 months after they said they adjusted it, so they're still short. We think 2 more months.
January, February.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt? I feel like I'm
And if Mark can verify that we get it, that's, I'm sorry, then the 6 is fine, but if in fact the state kept the 8, that's all we're asking is we make whole.
Okay, Matt?
So, no, that's okay. Obviously, we don't know what they've submitted, but I can say that the state did not remit for January. I don't know that has nothing to do with us. It's how they handle with the state tax returns. February was collected. So I could say January was not, but February was.
And why would January have been selected?
Remitted back to the village. So on the reports that we received from the Department of Revenue, January was not, but February was.
Well,
And I don't know how that is because that's based on tax returns back to the IDR. We don't get actual tax returns from them and how they're reporting it. We just get a report that says how much each business that has paid into their business insurance tax.
And if it was on February, we're not trying to get more, we should then it would be 7. And that's, we're fine.
So what happens at the end of the agreement? What is?
It's a 20-year business district, isn't it?
Yeah, so that comes to us.
Correct. Now, keep in mind, this business had no sales tax, so we are still collecting our non-home rule and our regular sales tax on this business. The business district is an addition too. So we're still,
I think if they should get 7, we should get 7.
I don't disagree with that.
That's fair. We're fine with that. Thanks.
I don't disagree with that. Anyone?
It's a good compromise. They're asking for 8, we wanted 6, we'll give them 7.
Right.
That's a great American way, huh?
Then nobody's happy.
Steve Anderson,
Everybody's a little bit happy.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, if you could draft it up that way, and we can get that approved at our next meeting.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you guys under 3 minutes.
You're good, Dan. You have all the time, unlimited time in your discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, formal objection to the King County, rezoning of property at Camp Dean. Danny.
The village has received notice from King County regarding a petition for rezoning and special use of a property located on Camp Dean Road. This property is not within the village, but due to the proximity of the property to the village is given the opportunity to review any requests such as these. The applicants are proposing to rezone the property from F Farming District to B3 Commercial District in order to establish and operate a recreational vehicle storage yard for approximately 360 vehicles, as well as continuing to operate the existing business on the property, which is Chad Ford Snow Removal and Concrete. You may recall discussing this property in the past as the owners petitioned for the rezoning and special use in 2022, but ultimately ended up withdrawing their petition. Camp Dean Road, north of the subject property, is under the jurisdiction of the Village of Sugar Grove. This road was annexed into the village and was not built to village standards. The village resurfaced the segment of Camp Dean Road in 2020, and the roadway has a 24,000 pound weight limit. Village staff is of the opinion that the existing uses are existing conditions that should be allowed to continue, subject to complying with the village's weight restrictions of Camp Dean Road, but should not be expanded. However, the addition of the recreational vehicle storage is of concern, and there should be some limitations as to the kind of traffic the property can generate before causing the village problems with road maintenance. The proposed uses do not align with surrounding uses and also do not align with the county's comprehensive plan. In my staff report, I have outlined a number of conditions staff feels should be included in the village's response to the petition. In order for the village to submit a formal objection to the petition, a resolution from the village board is required. Staff is asking for the village board to discuss the petition and staff's recommendations and give direction on how you would like to proceed.
Any discussion or questions for Dave? Does the board agree that the heavy load of the business that is proposed creates a burden on our street, our section of roadway?
What's been, that road's been beat up, like a lot, it's always beat up. And that, I mean, it's a need, campground's right there. I know a lot of residents in Sugar Grove are always looking for boat storage, motor camper, all of that stuff, but all of that stuff is heavy. And if it's successful, and I hope it is, I think it's gonna tear up even more tear up that road.
And I feel like, excuse me, I don't know if this is a new business owner, because I feel like they went down this road with an additional, with the same storage.
I looked up the CDM property management, and I'm not secretary of state.
You're not?
The business, so yeah. Chad Ford. But that's not a question.
No, right.
I think we entered in section 3, you should have this before, so there's, I think, there's lower homes, those are the ones that are bigger, much heavier. Yeah, well, this is, I guess it's really the day after chief does release it. Hope you catch it. Otherwise, I think the next person
What's the weight limit on the road?
24,000 pounds.
on our section. So there's,
I think only the biggest class A motorhomes are very 25.
Would you say it's not that way throughout the entire road?
that's correct. So to turn out to the road, it has limitations for certain months. That is, under 10,000, might be 6,000 or 8,000 pounds. So that's we have Big Rock Township, Sugar Village, Sugar, 3 sections of road along the way. We can only enforce our section. The sheriff's office, of course, is the only 2 sections. So, but yeah, we split it. So, I remember at the next to the board, this was basically the thickness was like half thickness, residential drive. help contribute to get the weight limit up higher, you know, and there's also weight restriction for which is false. So it will support it, however, the road rate and self-service won't support heavyweight on that road.
So our portion of the road could probably take most, except for the largest RVs, but the
Yeah.
other sections are much less, or the limit on them is much lower number.
Yeah.
Right.
Does the village a big issue, kind of?
That I'm not aware of. I've not heard anything from them.
The point is, we're gonna issue a letter, write a strongly worded.
We'd have to approve a resolution at the next meeting.
Yeah, so we could issue a letter to the county saying the restrictions that we're asking for. We could also pass a resolution objecting to it, which would trigger a 3/4 vote of the county board to approve it.
Oh.
It's within a mile and a half of our here, so we're allowed to object formally.
Okay. Or the different organizations that are responsible for that road are gonna have to add a bunch of weight. We're gonna have to beef the road up in order to handle the traffic and the
I wouldn't be surprised if they, even though we can follow up and ask that question, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Rock also object.
You wouldn't.
I would not be surprised if they also object.
Do they care? In all honesty, do they really care?
There are 5 residents. They have residents that want their piece of property.
Oh, residential.
Yes.
They've been screaming yell at their board meeting then. Sorry, was that mic being recorded for? But realistically, right, it's up to the county. Frankly, right, and, all right, write them a strongly worded letter. I'm quoting lines from a movie, I'm wondering if anybody else is.
I think we do this, we'll have the staff bring back a resolution for our next agenda.
Yeah.
And we can vote on it then, and in the meantime, Danny, if you could just follow up with Big Rock and see what their position is. So we'll have that answer as well. Okay. Thank you. Up next, the updating of the social media policy.
Thank you. The village board had previously discussed on June 18th, possibly updating our social media policy to have more of a forum that would be moderated more heavily. After discussions with our insurance provider, Irma, they had serious concerns about the liabilities, especially the First Amendment, about having a more closely moderated forum. So they have suggested that the one that they feel is the least liability, and the suggestion from her would be to have a closed forum and not have comments on our Facebook. It has been the practice of village staff not to answer directly comments on Facebook or elected officials, or even for that matter, officially answering comments on Facebook. So really the two options at play are to have a closed forum with no comments, or to leave the rules as they are today, where we few and far between, where we would hide or delete those as we have done as current practice. And we'd staff would like feedback in order to move forward, either leave the policy the same or move forward with a policy of a closed forum. And we're happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
I like to have it closed. I don't think we really need that open. We can contact us other ways. I don't need to see that ugliness on our. I mean, there's some helpful things, but there is some ugliness that goes along with having it open like that. I think closed is perfectly fine. There's other ways to contact us.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed? Agreed. I think the biggest thing here is if somebody does want to share a comment on our post, they can always take our post and share it.
Take a hyperlink and put it on your own site room, which is what most corporations, and I would contend most government organizations for social media are going to keep it closed, right? Because it's like you're advertising. Coca-Cola is going to say, here's a new product, and they may have their independent bottlers have an open forum, but what they're gonna broadcast is gonna be that this isn't any different. It's what we do at Case New Holland, so most organizations will do. It's not to have an open discussion. There's other means and methods for doing that. If we're using social media to try to communicate an event, which is most of what we're putting out there, or a general notice of an emergency situation, or whatever the case may be, especially in an emergency situation, I don't think we want to be bringing in back and forth dialogue. We need to keep that message clear and concise and straightforward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this stuff because there's ample means for other ways to have an open dialogue on this stuff besides Public Meeting Act or any other stuff. Technology allows for it. Through screenshotting, taking a hyperlink, dropping it in your own area. That's what most people do. You can do a hashtag, Village of Sugar Grove, whatever it is, depending on the Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever the heck is out there. So, yes, it's best practice in the industry as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. I'll see you head nods in this one.
Agreed, yeah, same thing, it has to be on or off. And I think that there are some people that genuinely ask questions, get answers, but the climate of social media is not typically that. Other people use opportunities like that to push their agendas and platforms. And I don't think that's the intent of the village, it's just to inform.
I think we did an outstanding job of allowing that to be open during one of the biggest things Sugar Grove has ever done. I think we all owe ourselves a little round of applause for pushing this till now. That's a good thing that we did. But my biggest concern is that it's not monitored 24 hours a day. We don't have the staff for that. Doing some research of my own, the majority of places have somebody that's dedicated. So if something is posted, they're able to see it pretty much right away or very shortly after. If something's posted for us on Friday afternoon, late afternoon, we may not be able to see it or do anything about it until Monday. That's just not acceptable. So I'm good with posting it up.
Okay. And it looks like I had head nods over here too. Okay. It sounds like this has not been a formal adoption of the board, so we don't need any formal action, but because.
There's a recommendation from our level of the board formally.
Okay, okay. Then bring it back.
If I misspeak here, then I apologize.
That's what I was asking.
I
All right, we're bringing that back for formal adoption. Thank you. Up next, the Grove Development Communication Strategy. Scott.
Thank you. At the September 17th board meeting, trustees discussed the best way to communicate with residents about the Grove project. Staff didn't feel consensus was reached at the meeting's hearing. Additionally, two trustees were absent from the meeting. Staff then was asked to bring this back to have a discussion, more formal discussion on the agenda of this. Staff is recommending a balanced, fact-based Q&A style informational document to provide clarification and summarize important aspects of the project. And it includes some examples or questions that we can have on there to communicate back to the public the information about it from the summaries from there. And just wanted feedback and direction on next steps if this is indeed what the village board would want, the way that you'd like us to present it, and perhaps even how we would get other questions.
Thank you, Scott. Discussion.
I'm opposed to the village doing anything like this. And there's too many topics that could be discussed, and I don't think we'll address them all. So I think it's best that if people have interests or questions, they can contact board members or staff and go from there. But it's too vague.
Yeah, I don't think they would all be able to be answered, but I think a frequently answered questions thing would be good, just because of like different stuff that I've heard that all the houses on Merrill Road are gonna be torn down, and that's all gonna be part of it. But 24-hour truck stop with all sorts of stuff. So just not to get into the weeds with what that is, but to get into fact-based things. We've heard questions about the type of fueling station. This is what it is. The basic facts of what is going to be added and frequently asked questions to help stop the rumor mill, I think, is what I would envision this being. Not every question, but some of the big ones that have residents concerned that we're hearing that are not fact-based, emotion-based instead.
Thank you. I'm gonna comments.
I can see things both ways on this, to tell you the truth, right? Is this just gonna turn the knife to people who are hurt that they feel the vote didn't go in their direction on one side? Is it gonna look like we're advertising? I think if it's done diplomatically, and it's done as a hyperlink on our homepage or within, because I believe there's history where we've done things like this on our village webpage in the past regarding big initiatives and that sort of stuff. So I think if we've done it before, I think it's fair that we do it again. I think the nice thing about a hyperlink that's going to open up a PDF file with 10 or 15 is that those questions that can be updated and modified or added to. We don't need to hit 100% of the issues. I don't think we need it to look like we're arguing, which I don't think it will. We'll take the necessary diplomatic steps to keep it fact-based. And I don't think we're looking for someone to be printed out glossy and handed out to people to give them, see, I told you so. But I think something that clearly states, these topics, some that have been mentioned, there's countless other things, the job estimates that wasn't talked a lot about, but in the report that was mentioned, within the larger packet, the 4-inch stack dock, right? I mean, I think those sorts of topics would be fruitful. Does it need to be a here's why we pushed it? No. But I think the format of an FAQ is smart, and I think because we got history doing things like this with renewals in the past, and I think it's worth considering. I do think we need to be very careful that we don't open up avenues within the community.
I would be a little bit cautious with the job estimates too. I wouldn't suggest that we get into detail on any of that. Those documents and those studies are there. I don't think we need to summarize that. I think that a lot of.
For sure, let the other experts in the room pick the topics. I'm not, you know what I mean? I was just throwing out ideas. Trustee Aaron was.
But I guess, that's my point, is you can't pick and choose. I mean, the job estimates, and I believe them, but that was something that was presented and is part of the presentation, so I think you have to go with it.
Okay.
I mean,
I just didn't, because the job, to me, and in my conservative brain said the job estimates might have been high.
right,
So,
well, that was
if
what
you-
was presented.
That's fine, we can put that out there. I think knowing now what they're anticipating as a land use on the industrial, the job numbers are not gonna be what is in that document.
I don't think we wanna put anything speculative on it because we don't know, but did the
I think that's
vegetation
good
any
guidance.
bonds as part of this project? That's a yes or no, that is provable, that's something that I have no problem putting out. Some basic questions like that, but anything that's kind of saying, oh, we could get this many, this or that, no. But the basics of, did we issue bonds, stuff like that. And I think that's fine, but I think we can keep it to just a few, facts, because we don't wanna go into selling information, selling the project. We don't wanna go into necessarily using information that was given that, it's like, well, that's subjective, We want it's not subjective on whether or not we issue bonds or not. I mean, that's, if we stick to that kind of comment, that kind of fact, I think we're good.
I don't think we should be taking an opinion about presentations on either side. I think now that the ordinances are passed, what we do is we just state the fashion.
What was passed?
What was passed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, the both sides have opinions, and we took those into consideration, and we made a decision, so what is the ultimate ordinance? And that's the one we think we should address.
Yes.
Whether we thought one was, more valid than
Correct. That's what I agree with that.
I think that's really the cusp of it, is when you do hear in the community things that were not approved. We know for a fact that wasn't approved, but they're making speculation because they haven't gone through. And on some instances, they don't understand, there's a lot of some jumping around that you have to do within the zoning, right? So I think that's what we're trying to give clear direction to staff on what to do, because they're kind of stuck in the no man's bubble. And by no means is it to create a long, document. It's to answer some highlighted questions that are fact-based on what was approved. And even getting into traffic study would be a speculation. So even though we don't know that LOI is going to come to fruition, we know that's where they are today, we shouldn't be speculating on traffic. So we're just going to leave those speculation things out and go with what was approved, which was zoning. When it comes to, or like the TIF district, what that looks like. Not speculating again on the revenue standpoint, but just what the splits look like, that's the fact, because the revenue projections are just that, they're projections. So don't put numbers with it, per se, those numbers are out there, but stick to the fact that it is an 80-20, and this is what the intent was, and this is the 10% surplus, and this is the 10% pullback, and this is the 80%.
I think is a good rule of thumb. Any statement, any question that would be answered with the words could or should need to be just eliminated, because that's where the speculation. Correct.
Yes.
Fully support that,
Yes.
that dialogue you gave there, Heidi, for sure.
Yeah, I spoke, I think at length last time about this, and I think it's time that we put out the factual information, we have it. I've spent a lot of time over this last week, unfortunately, debunking personally a lot of information that's out there, and I'll stir it up again with things that are just absolutely false. So trying to go through it and walk people through the information that's online to show them where it is in writing. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort. It would be nice to have something that's out there. The majority of the questions, I think we all agree on, is reference TIF, what the land can be used for, things that we have officially put to rest. I mean, they're out there, it's fact. So, and then, in 2019, it was brought to my attention by another resident that Sugar actually released an economic impact study for withdrawing the project. It's on the website. So the old staff, the board at the time, along with Trustee Michaels, actually put out information on the website about the Crown development and the withdrawing process of it. So if this is something that's happened in the past, we're putting information out. We have due diligence to do it to our residents that are being misled in some areas, that are just unfortunately don't have the ability or the access to look at some of these documents or the time to look at them. So it's important to get the right information out there at the right time. And I think we owe it to ourselves, and like I said last week, to our residents to make sure that information is put out there.
Thank you. Yeah, and I would go as far as saying, I think I brought it up last meeting, the two of you out there, but the question came up about clear cutting all the trees. You know, in that one, I'm like, no, they're not clear cutting all those trees. So I think those are the things that are questioned that people hear and are like, oh, I thought it was being clear cut. But no, it's not. And maybe because we were talking about mitigation when it comes to trees, and so someone then internalized that as we're clear cutting trees. I don't know. I also had heard that, just as a point of reference for you, putting things together, that we did not hold and cap water usage for data centers. And they are held to 9 PB per acre for the entire 760 acres, both on water usage as well as sanitary treatment. So there is a cap there. But that's not the narrative that is being shared in the community. So, people concerning say, oh, you're gonna run, the village dry with water. No, we all live here too. So I think it's those facts that we're trying to get to, but those are all approved in the document. Those details are approved in the document.
And, Sean, I understand if you don't like doing this. I mean, I wasn't for this thing. It's done. The vote's been done. So putting that information out there, that this is what the agreement is, not speculative, but like the cap on water. If we put it out there, and if it's people who are concerned about it, they know that. And if they find out it goes above, they know they can come and complain about it. So it gives them some additional information to make sure, hey, are they following, this is what's out there. This is the fact, this is the zoning code. Do we think they're gonna violate the zoning code or something? Or do we see something? Are we concerned about it? They know what it is that the development has to follow.
I think
Thank you.
two. Thanks for all the feedback. If any questions that there's been sounds like you're hearing a lot from residents, please feel free to fire or text emails to me and Tracy to help us with the creation of the document. Anything else we can hear about?
So, proper policy and practice here, is this something that we're asking Scott, that staff put together, that we're gonna review in the next board meeting, or are we authorizing him autonomously under the rules and guidelines that we've given him to go ahead and generate the document and publish it?
I don't think it has to be formally procured. I think when he has drafted it and put stuff on there, he just disperses it through emails with everyone to before he posts.
Okay.
It's got the document, it's an approved document, so if stuff comes up, I'm gonna
Okay. Thank you for that discussion. And then also, we didn't really touch on it, but just for the future of the project, because it is so large. And maybe it's for a future discussion. The community is gonna want updates as to where things are, what's happening, and when they can anticipate. So creating a space, and then we have that spot on the website that is the Sugar Grove LLC box, but that we're providing information. So if we know that they've come to community development for permitting, we should be sharing that information. So we just want to see if everybody's on that page. It is a large project. It's going to take many, many years to finish. And the community's going to want to know updates as we go.
You should start doing that for other projects though as well, like the Lennar project.
Yeah, we talked about
So
that.
if I may, we're having some recording snafus in the recorder's office, just to get everything done. Once all the documents are officially recorded and turned into the tax assessor, we will be putting file versions of those signed documents on that page. And then we'll follow up with important updates as things are happening with the development. We're also changing a little bit, and again, we just don't, this staff doesn't have much history of new development coming in. So what we're doing is working through a process, and Lennar's they've been nice enough to be a little bit of our beta test. Silverthorne did a concept as well, but that was quite a gap in time. This one we anticipate moving a little bit sooner. So we are introducing where the concept would come to the Planning Commission, the concept would come to the village board. We're going to create a page now about this Lennar development that will be on the community development page that will have those slides available. And then as other information comes about, there'll be a checklist of items they have to complete when they turn in the application to Danny Community Development. We will then put additional documents on the website. So if somebody sees a sign in the community when they're driving by, they'll know they can go to our website. That information will be there and available for them. So we'll start doing these things with developments as we move forward. This is the first more straightforward, housing development that we've got in recent years. So we think that this is a great opportunity to kind of test that. So any feedback from you as well of how you would like to do it in ways that we can share or that you want to see it go out to the community, we'd be more than happy to get to make this as good as possible. And additionally, about how the concept meeting went. It seems like there's been positive feedback. We've done a couple of those. So we intend to keep on doing that to give them clear direction so they can have a better application. And then also know whether or not the trustees feel like they're a fit for the community. So I appreciate that feedback, and that's kind of how we've been operating. And we'll see how the Lennar one goes, and then we'll learn from it and then do better next time.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we have staff reports. Scott, keep chatting.
My reports in your packet, and happy to answer any questions. Did attend the Downland Road Bridge opening today that the county put on, which is very nice, and will be excellent for emergency services and buses to be able to avoid the rail and 30. So I feel good about it.
Any questions for Scott? Okay, hearing none. Matt?
Nothing to add.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Matt? Thank you. Danny, anything new?
Nothing to add.
Okay.
What's the status of the Starbucks? It looks like you're ready to go.
We are working on issuing a permit, so we sent them permits review last week, so we got their response, engineering stuff, so we're getting very close to issuing the permit.
Any other questions for Danny?
Sorry, before, I would love it for both departments to announce the hiring of their. And either of them.
Scott, do you want to start over?
Well, I usually wait until the person's in the door on their first day, Matt, but we have extended offers for the assistant village clerk and our deputy village clerk, and then also for the new old Danny for our zoning administrator. That'll be coming in on October 21st start date and October 14th for the deputy village clerk. So we're excited.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, and I'm sorry, any questions for me?
Quick question, do you know how it's progressing with the, the calendar center there behind the
Oh, yeah.
Michael will probably have more of an update on that one than I would, but they are, I think they should be.
They're expecting to open in November. They've already taken enrollments, and they're working with Chris, development department on the permits they have to have for their interior or exterior work. So it's progressing nicely. They're thinking November.
Okay, they're gonna be doing something with that exterior
Landscaping.
Yeah, it's a bit much, isn't it? You can't even see the sign. So
Did they submit a landscape plan?
No,
Did we ask them to submit a landscape plan?
we did not, because it's an existing business that's already been established, that we typically do not require landscape plans for that.
So are they required to kind of keep it how it was?
Yes.
Okay, and cut all the stuff down.
Events, the mulch, the no weeds, there. Because all those are enforceable ordinances, right?
They'll be held for property maintenance codes, all those things.
Thank you. Chief?
Just excited over the past couple of weeks, the deputy chief of police assessment process has been ongoing. We have 3 candidates making their way through the assessment center. We have one more run tomorrow. Hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll have an announcement who are most likely the next step to announce the next deputy chief of police.
I want to eat cake again.
There's a cookie in the back. Yeah, today we celebrated Sergeant Steve Garzawa's 20th anniversary, which was yesterday, so we had a little bit of cookie cake in the pie for him. So
I like cooking.
Thanks. Brad, any questions for Brad?
Are we doing a 50/50 tree program in the fall? Yeah. Does it advertise?
Yes, several times.
Good.
Posted several times. We have actually, I had the numbers.
Is it closed?
Yes, we had close, there's deadline, but there was like almost 100 trees, that's right, 80 trees that were replanted. And 40 of them, but 50, I think 50 or 60 are replacement, and then there's only like 30 new. So it's a pretty good, probably the best year we ever had, that's all, a long time.
How was it advertised?
It was on the village Facebook, the website.
When was the deadline, Brad?
Posted a couple- What'd you say?
I said, when was the deadline?
I don't remember the exact
It was a while ago, because you
Yeah.
do it for tree, for fall
Yeah.
planting, so.
Yeah, we didn't have our orders already,
Yeah.
so we could schedule it.
So you probably haven't seen it for a while since it's been up for
Yeah.
that deadline.
Drive to the Facebook page and I don't get any of the village notes and stuff.
What, you don't get the mail, you don't get the water bill?
I thought it was coming out separately on emails, like email posts or,
Okay.
but, my,
Okay. Maybe we can add you to the list.
I thought I wanted to grab it and fall and start.
So we try to limit the email blasts that we do to village board agendas, plan commission agendas, and special meetings. If we blast too much to the email list, we could start to be considered spam by Google and some of the other major ones. So we don't, every post we put on Facebook, we don't send out as an email to the entire group because we would very quickly become considered spam by the major email outlets, and we would immediately go to your junk folder without even having a choice to not put us there. You'd have to then remove us from there. So we're very cautious and use that for official announcements of meeting notices and all that. So that it's two different functions, the Facebook and that we can look at. But we try to use the water bill whenever possible as well. For those, I'm not sure if the trees made it on just because of timing, but we try to put some information in whether we can include emails, people with the e-bill, we can include things in there as well. So we'll keep that top of mind.
I think that a good discussion at budgetary time would be going back to a paper mailed something. And I was telling staff today, I said, I always received a paper copy of my water bill until they started accepting, because there was a time when they only accepted, payments from the bank account, but not an auto credit card payment. And I always paid my water bill for points on my credit card. So when they set it up for auto credit card payment, I did that, and then I went paperless. And so what they asked staff the other day, Scott's like, you don't check your water bill. I said, I check it when I review my credit card statement. So I'm not even opening the email that I'm getting my digital copy where we have notices on the water bill. So we're losing that now too. So I think we're gonna have to go back to, when we have a lot of seniors in the community, and if they don't have internet, they're not getting digital copies of paper, so they might be sharing newspaper, but we need to do a good job of communicating with our folks. So I think that paper copies, some sort of newsletter, whether it be quarterly or however we want to handle it, we need to budget for that. So I think it's just a budgetary conversation. Matt, if you can just make a note. Michael.
Thank you. On October 19th, I attended the DICE Midwest Data Center Conference. It's the largest one in the United States. It's made up of developers, tenants, consultants, brokers, service providers like comment, serve that industry. We were one of two communities that were in attendance that was called out by the moderators that were there. Made a lot of great contacts. So hopefully that will continue to put us in good stead in that industry. Secondly, you should have all received a save the date a few weeks ago for our annual brokers reception at Rich Harvest Farms, November 6th. And 5 to 7 p.m. I think last year there were 4 trustees that attended. All certainly welcome to be there. Number 3, the shops at Landing, which is the center that Jimmy Johnson's in. The owner is a mutual development company and had a chance to meet with them. They were interested in doing another project in Sugar Grove. And I put the name mutual development in my report, and explained why I was there, so sorry for the typo. They were very pleased with their experience in our community. And last, keeping Starbucks happy is one of GMX's top chores. I want to just say on a personal note, I want to thank the Community Development Department and the Public Works Department for their timely work on it. Thank you, that's my report.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael?
And Michael, I know you do a lot of things behind the scenes and people don't ever see a lot of this stuff. I just want to say with your connection to Lennar earlier, how you brought that up, that your connections, what drove up here, that is beyond what words can explain. It's awesome. So keep up the good work. I said in the report, you got some other things you've been working on building too. So I know I appreciate it. That's what we need here. We go get it, go out there and do that. And that faith, that's exactly what we're doing. So keep up the good work. Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much. I've never worked anywhere make a better board you understand. So it makes my job. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, trustee reports. Trustee Michaels.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee White.
I went to IML last week. It was very informative. It's something that we're having as we do. Good training.
Thank you. Hopefully good networking too. Yes. Thank you. Trustee Lindy. And she was a winner again?
Matt won too. I am the one.
You won too.
So did Danny want to.
Yeah.
We're a lot of winners. I was not one. Anything additional?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Herron.
Nothing new to report.
Thank you. Trustee Bowden.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Schultz.
Nothing but a word of thanks to everyone who's reached out to me regarding the passing of my mother-in-law, Pat Weiss. It was a long summer with that situation. She passed peacefully last week. I appreciate everyone excusing me to go visit her and bring the kids out last time to say their goodbyes last Tuesday. So thank you. Thank you.
We're deeply sorry for the loss. President's report, just a couple things. I attended the No Tricks, Just Treats. That's coming up. That's a great partnership with a local nonprofit and also governmental agencies that will be happening over in the community building. Brad is there, Chief, Fire Protection will be there. And we have Don's house, what's the date, the 26th, October 26th, at the community building, starting at 4, right, starting at 4. And they also are doing, having two magician shows inside of the gym. So it's a really nice, I think we've shared it on our social media page. So talk it up, it's gonna be a great collaborative effort with the other government partners. The Metro West event was, again, always a nice networking event. Good to see Sugar Grove winners as usual. I think we missed by those tickets. I don't know how that works out, but that's always a great opportunity for just, collaborating with your peers on other boards, other administrators, other government agencies, other consultants as well. Also in Scott's report, I did meet with Scott as well as the Deputy Superintendent of Schools this past week. So it's nice to start building that relationship. He's going to be in that position, deputy, until January, and that is when Dr. Levy plans to retire. So he'll be taking on the superintendent role as of January. There is a new executive director of the chamber. Started, I think, last week. So there's a transition there, and hopefully we'll see some changes within the Sugar Grove Chamber of Commerce. I was also at that ribbon cutting today, which was a really nice event. Exciting for the whole region and that area, Safe Crossing, and
so many folks were there, legislators, county folk, but it's nice to see that open or soon to be open. And, that's all I have going forward, so thank you, sir.
Second.
Second, I have first out of trustee White, the second out of trustee Aaron, roll call please, Tracy. Trustee White? Trustee Aaron?
No.
Trustee Michaels?
Yes.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Ryan?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
I,
Thank you, motion carries 5-0.
Because we have energy. They went somewhere else and they went somewhere else. Jamie was here for the first one back. Here.
Yes, that was all.
Thank you, sir.
I guess he makes it up.